Chapter 1, The Blueprint. Beverly Jackson woke at 6:30 sharp, as she always did. The alarm chimed once, soft, melodic, and she silenced it with a single tap. No snooze button, no bargaining with the morning. She believed in starting the day on her own terms, and those terms were precise. The curtains parted with a gentle tug, revealing a sky the color of pale porcelain. Tour streets were still quiet, save for the distant hum of scooters and the occasional bark of a stray dog. Beverly liked this hour. The world felt orderly, like a blank page waiting for her pen. She brewed her coffee, dark and strong, and set it beside her laptop on the kitchen counter. The screen glowed to life, and for a moment, Beverly's reflection stared back at her. Calm eyes, hair swept into a neat bun, a face that carried confidence without the weight of arrogance. She opened her calendar first, meetings, deadlines, a client pitch at noon. Everything in its place. Then, with a glance toward the closed door of her bedroom, she clicked a folder labeled Blueprint. Inside were files she never spoke about. Not to her best friend, not to her parents, not even to the colleague who thought they shared everything. A business plan, meticulously detailed. Supplier lists, cost projections, branding sketches. Beverly had spent years refining it, like a secret garden she tended in silence. She scrolled through the latest draft, her fingers tracing the words as if they were promises. Jackson and Company, design solutions for modern living. It wasn't just a dream. It was a structure, solid and waiting. She imagined the sign above a glass door, the hum of printers, the scent of fresh paper and possibility. One day, she told herself. One day soon. Her phone buzzed, jolting her from the reverie. A message from Priya, her closest friend. Priya. Brunch this weekend? Don't say you're busy again. You're turning into a hermit. Beverly smiled faintly and typed back. Beverly. Not a hermit. Just organized. Saturday works. She hit send and closed the Blueprint folder. No one needed to know, not yet. Dreams were delicate things. They deserved privacy until they were strong enough to stand in daylight. By 8:30, Beverly was dressed in a crisp teal blouse and tailored trousers, her hair smoothed into a low knot. She locked the apartment door and stepped into the mild January air. The streets had awakened now. Vendors calling out prices, school children in neat uniforms, the scent of jasmine mingling with exhaust fumes. Beverly walked briskly, her leather tote swinging at her side, her mind already mapping the day. The office was a glass and chrome affair, perched above a row of cafes. Beverly liked the clean lines, the way sunlight spilled across the polished floors. She greeted the receptionist with a nod, exchanged a few words about the weather, and headed to her desk. Everything was in order, files stacked, pens aligned, screens calibrated. Predictability was her comfort zone. Until the delivery arrived. It happened at 11:30, just as Beverly was reviewing color palettes for a client campaign. A man in a faded blue cap appeared at her desk, holding a box the size of a small suitcase. Delivery for, Miss Beverly Jackson. His voice carried the uncertainty of someone who'd already gotten lost twice that morning. Yes, Beverly said, signing the slip. Thank you. He lingered. You might want to open it carefully. Before she could ask why, he vanished into the corridor like a magician with poor timing. Beverly eyed the box. It was heavier than expected, sealed with layers of tape. She fetched scissors and sliced through the top. The first thing she saw was fur. Not real fur, thankfully, but a plush, oversized teddy bear wearing a sequined bow tie. Beverly blinked. Beneath it lay a cascade of pink tissue paper and a card that read, in looping script, "Congratulations on your engagement." Her brows knitted. Engagement? Beverly was single. Proudly, deliberately single. She dug deeper and found a pair of champagne flutes engraved with "Forever Yours." A laugh escaped her, short, incredulous. Someone had clearly made a mistake. She checked the label. Beverly Jackson, Marketing and Design. Correct address. Wrong life. Priya would have a field day with this. She snapped a photo and sent it to her friend with the caption, "Beverly. Apparently, I'm engaged. News to me." The reply came in seconds. Priya. What? Who's the lucky guy? Or girl? Spill. Beverly, the bear, apparently. Priya's response was a string of laughing emojis followed by, Priya. Keep the bear. It suits you. Beverly shook her head, amused despite herself. She repacked the box and set it aside for the courier to retrieve. A minor disruption, nothing more. Still, as she returned to her work, a thought lingered. Life had a way of slipping surprises through the cracks, no matter how tightly you sealed them. That evening, Beverly sat at her kitchen counter again, the city lights flickering beyond the window. The bear occupied a corner now, absurd and cheerful, as if mocking her sense of order. She opened the Blueprint folder once more, scrolling through supplier emails and cost sheets. Her dream felt steady, tangible, unlike the chaos of mistaken engagements and sequined bow ties. She closed her laptop with a quiet click and sipped her tea. Tomorrow would be predictable again. It had to be. But somewhere, deep down, Beverly wondered if predictability was overrated. Chapter 2, The Catalyst. Saturday arrived with the kind of sunlight that made everything look slightly better than it was. Beverly stood in front of her mirror, adjusting the collar of her linen shirt. Brunch with Priya was a ritual she rarely broke, mostly because Priya had the persistence of a telemarketer and the charm of someone who knew all your secrets. Well, almost all. The cafe was bustling when Beverly walked in, the air thick with the scent of cinnamon and chatter. Priya waved from a corner table, her bangles clinking like wind chimes. "You're late," Priya said, grinning. "By 2 minutes. Are you okay? Blink twice if you've been kidnapped." Beverly slid into the chair. "I'm fine. And 2 minutes isn't late. It's human. Human for you is suspicious." Priya leaned forward, eyes sparkling. "So, tell me about your engagement." Beverly groaned. "It was a delivery mistake. Someone out there is missing a bear in a bow tie." Priya laughed so hard the waiter paused mid-step. "Please tell me you kept it. It's sitting in my apartment, judging me." Beverly sipped her coffee. "Anyway, what's new with you?" Priya launched into a story about her neighbor's pet iguana escaping into the laundry room, complete with dramatic reenactments. Beverly listened, amused, until Priya's tone shifted. "You know," Priya said, stirring her latte, "you've been steady, like really steady. No surprises, no drama. Don't you ever get bored?" "Order isn't boring," Beverly replied calmly. "It's efficient." Priya smirked. "Efficient is for dishwashers. You're 33, Bev. Live a little." Beverly smiled faintly but didn't answer. She wasn't opposed to living a little. She just preferred living with a plan. Later that afternoon, Beverly found herself at the annual design expo downtown. It wasn't mandatory, but she liked browsing new trends, collecting ideas for campaigns. The hall was a kaleidoscope of color, fabric swatches, neon signage, sleek furniture displays. Beverly moved through the crowd with practiced ease, jotting notes on her phone. She was examining a booth showcasing sustainable packaging when it happened. A man barreled past, juggling a tray of iced coffees like a circus act gone rogue. One cup tipped, arcing through the air in slow motion before landing squarely on Beverly's notebook. "Oh no, oh no, no, no." The man set the tray down and grabbed napkins, his voice a mix of panic and apology. "I'm so sorry. I swear I'm usually coordinated." Beverly stared at the dripping notebook, then at him. He was tall, slightly disheveled, with hair that looked like it had opinions of its own. His shirt bore a logo she didn't recognize. "It's fine," Beverly said, taking a napkin. "Accidents happen. Not to people like you," he said, dabbing furiously. "You look organized, like someone who alphabetizes spices." Beverly raised an eyebrow. "And you look like someone who doesn't." He laughed, a warm, unguarded sound. "Fair. I'm Liam, by the way." "Beverly." "Beverly," he repeated, as if testing the syllables. "Nice name. Classic. Not like Liam, which sounds like a guy who spills coffee on strangers." Beverly allowed herself a small smile. "Does this happen often?" "Only when I'm trying to impress people," Liam said, then winced. "Not that I'm trying to impress you. I mean, well, maybe a little, but mostly I'm just clumsy." The honesty caught her off guard. Most people wrapped their words in layers of agenda. Liam seemed unfiltered. "It's fine," Beverly said again, handing him the last napkin. "No harm done." "Can I make it up to you?" he asked. "Buy you a coffee? Preferably one that stays in the cup." Beverly hesitated. She had a schedule, a rhythm. Coffee with a stranger wasn't on it. "That's kind, but unnecessary," she said, slipping the damp notebook into her tote. Liam nodded, unfazed. "Fair enough. But if you change your mind, I'll be at the booth with the ridiculous chairs." He gestured toward a display of neon beanbags and grinned. Hard to miss. Beverly watched him walk away, his stride easy, his presence oddly lingering. She shook her head, amused and slightly unsettled. People like Liam were rare. People who spoke without calculation, who laughed without checking the room first. She turned back to the packaging display, but her focus wavered. For the first time in a long while, Beverly felt the faint hum of unpredictability, and it wasn't entirely unpleasant. That evening, as she updated her supplier spreadsheet, Beverly caught herself thinking about Liam's laugh. It wasn't part of the plan. Then again, neither was the bear in the bow tie. Maybe Priya was right. Maybe efficiency wasn't everything. Chapter 3, The Unexpected Connection. Sunday mornings were Beverly's sanctuary. No alarms, no deadlines. Just the quiet hum of her apartment and the soft rustle of pages as she read. Today, however, her peace was interrupted by Priya's voice on speakerphone, brimming with mischief. "So," Priya began, "did you meet anyone interesting at the expo? Anyone tall, clumsy, and carrying iced coffee like a weapon?" Beverly froze mid-sip of her tea. "How do you—" "Instagram," Priya said smugly. "Someone posted a photo of the spill. You're famous now." Caption: "When design meets disaster." Beverly groaned. "It was 1 cup, and it didn't even hit me." "Still counts as drama," Priya teased. "You need drama, controlled drama, like a rom-com, not a soap opera." "I'm fine without drama," Beverly said, though Liam's laugh flickered in her mind like a stubborn light bulb. Priya sighed theatrically. Fine. Be boring. But if you run into him again, at least get his number. Beverly ended the call with a smile, shaking her head. Priya had a talent for turning coincidences into destiny. 2 days later, Beverly attended a community art fair, a casual event she liked for its local charm and lack of corporate gloss. She wandered past stalls of hand-painted ceramics and quirky jewelry, enjoying the freedom of anonymity, until she heard a voice behind her. Careful with that vase. It's judging you. She turned. Liam stood there, hands in his pockets, grinning like someone who just won a bet. You again, Beverly said, surprised despite herself. Me again, Liam replied. I swear I'm not stalking you, unless you count following the scent of good coffee as stalking. Beverly laughed softly. Do you always narrate your life like a sitcom? Only when the audience looks this skeptical. He gestured toward the vase she'd been examining. Seriously, though, that thing screams commitment issues. Beverly tilted her head. You talk to vases now? Better than talking to myself, Liam said. Though they're equally judgmental. She shook her head, amused. Do you live around here? Sort of, Liam said. I run a small design studio nearby, mostly furniture, occasionally chaos. Beverly raised an eyebrow. Chaos sounds like a bold business model. It's niche, Liam said with a grin. People love unpredictability. Keeps life interesting. Beverly smiled faintly. I prefer predictability. Predictability is great, Liam said, until it gets boring. The words lingered, not as a challenge but as an observation. Beverly felt a flicker of curiosity. About him, about the ease with which he spoke. Most conversations in her life were transactional, layered with agendas. Liam's felt unfiltered. They strolled together through the fair, pausing at a stall selling handmade notebooks. Liam picked one up, flipping through the blank pages. Look at this, he said. A whole book of possibilities. No rules, no deadlines. Beverly smirked. Sounds terrifying. Sounds liberating, Liam countered. You ever just write something for fun? I write business plans, Beverly said before she could stop herself. Liam's eyes lit up. That's oddly impressive. Most people write grocery lists. Beverly felt heat rise to her cheeks. She hadn't meant to reveal that. Her business plan was her secret, her blueprint for independence. It's just an idea, she said quickly. Best things start as ideas, Liam said, his tone easy, without judgment. You should run with it. Beverly studied him for a moment. He didn't pry, didn't push, just offered a thought and let it breathe. It was rare, very rare. As the fair wound down, Liam glanced at his watch. I should head back. Got a chair that refuses to cooperate. Beverly smiled. Good luck with that. Thanks. And hey, next time you're at an expo, try not to stand near me. I'm a hazard. She laughed. Noted. He hesitated, then added. Or, you could stand near me on purpose. Coffee, maybe? Beverly paused. Her instinct was to decline. She liked order, and this felt unpredictable. But something in Liam's expression, open, unassuming, made her reconsider. Maybe, she said, her voice calm but softer than usual. Liam grinned. I'll take maybe. It's practically a yes in my world. He walked away, leaving Beverly with a notebook in her hand and a question in her mind. When had maybe started to feel exciting? That night, Beverly opened her blueprint folder again. The numbers were steady, the plan intact. But her thoughts wandered, not to projections or suppliers, but to a man who talked to vases and laughed without hesitation. For the first time in years, Beverly wondered if her life had room for something unscheduled. Chapter 4, The Secret Slips. Wednesday evening found Beverly perched on her sofa, laptop balanced on her knees, the glow of spreadsheets illuminating her face. Supplier quotes, projected margins, branding mock-ups. Her dream was taking shape like a sculpture carved in secret. She was so absorbed that she didn't hear the knock at first. 3 sharp raps. Then Priya's voice. Bev, open up before I start singing Bollywood classics in the hallway. Beverly sighed, closed the blueprint folder, and padded to the door. Priya swept in like a monsoon, bright scarf, louder energy. You didn't answer my texts, Priya said, dropping a tote bag on the armchair. I assumed you were either dead or binge-watching crime documentaries. I was working, Beverly said evenly. Priya narrowed her eyes. Working on what? You're off the clock. Just stuff, Beverly replied, too quickly. Priya grinned. Suspicious. Spill. Beverly hesitated. She'd kept her business plan under wraps for years, guarding it like a fragile flame. But Priya's curiosity was relentless, and Beverly was tired of deflecting. It's nothing dramatic, Beverly said, settling beside her friend. I've been planning something. Priya's eyes widened. Planning what? A vacation? A secret wedding? Please say it's not a cult. Beverly laughed. A business. My own design firm. For a moment, Priya stared as if Beverly had announced she was moving to Mars. Then she squealed so loudly the teddy bear in the corner seemed startled. Bev, that's amazing. Why didn't you tell me? Because it's not ready, Beverly said calmly. And I didn't want a noise, opinions, distractions. Priya softened. Fair. But wow, you've been sitting on this for how long? Years, Beverly admitted. I have the plan, the suppliers, even potential clients. I just need to leap. Priya grabbed her hands, eyes shining. You will. And when you do, I'm throwing the biggest launch party Unwritten has ever seen. Beverly smiled, warmth blooming in her chest. Sharing the secret felt like exhaling after holding her breath too long. Still, a flicker of unease lingered, because now the dream wasn't just hers. It had witnesses. Later that night, Beverly scrolled through her phone, half distracted by Priya's enthusiastic texts about logo ideas. She paused when a new message popped up. Liam, hey, remember that coffee you almost let me buy? Still offering. No spills this time. Beverly stared at the screen, her pulse quickening. She typed, erased, typed again. Finally, Beverly, maybe this weekend. Liam, maybe is my favorite word. Saturday? Beverly, Saturday works. She set the phone down, her thoughts a tangle of anticipation and caution. Coffee wasn't a commitment. It was just coffee. But Beverly knew better than anyone. Small things had a way of changing everything. As she closed her laptop, Beverly glanced at the bear in the corner, its sequined bow tie catching the light. It looked smug, as if predicting chaos. Beverly shook her head, smiling despite herself. For the first time in years, her life felt less like a blueprint and more like a story. Unwritten, unpredictable, and maybe, just maybe, exciting. Chapter 5, The Invitation. Saturday morning arrived with a sky so clear it looked like someone had photoshopped reality. Beverly stood in front of her wardrobe, staring at rows of neatly arranged shirts like they were contestants in a silent competition. She wasn't nervous. At least that's what she told herself. Coffee wasn't a date. It was caffeine with company. Simple. Predictable. Except nothing about Liam felt predictable. She settled on a soft cream blouse and jeans. Casual but not careless. Her hair went into a low ponytail, practical yet polished. Beverly glanced at the teddy bear in the corner, its sequined bow tie catching the sunlight like a disco ball. Don't look at me like that, she muttered. It's just coffee. The bear, naturally, offered no reassurance. The cafe Liam had suggested was tucked into a quiet lane, all exposed brick and hanging plants. Beverly arrived 5 minutes early because late was chaos, and chose a table by the window. She ordered a cappuccino and opened her phone, pretending to scroll while her mind rehearsed neutral conversation topics. Design trends, local art fairs, the weather. Then Liam walked in, and Beverly's mental script crumpled like cheap paper. He wore a navy shirt rolled at the sleeves, hair slightly tousled, as if he'd argued with it and lost. Spotting her, he smiled. A quick, genuine curve of lips that made Beverly's pulse skip like a scratched record. Hey, he said, sliding into the chair opposite hers. No coffee casualties today. Progress. Beverly smiled. Small victories. The waiter appeared, and Liam ordered a black coffee, as strong as my optimism. Beverly raised an eyebrow. Is that a design philosophy? She asked. More like a survival tactic, Liam said. Optimism keeps the chairs from winning. Beverly laughed softly. Still battling that chair? 2 legs down, 2 to go, Liam said. It's a war of principles now. Their conversation flowed easily, like water finding its path. They talked about design, her love for clean lines, his obsession with textures. They debated whether minimalism was elegant or just lazy. Liam teased Beverly about her color-coded calendar. Beverly countered by mocking his creative chaos. At one point, Liam leaned back, studying her with a curious tilt of his head. You know, he said, you're not what I expected. Beverly frowned slightly. What did you expect? Someone rigid, Liam said. All rules, no laughter. But you laugh. Occasionally, Beverly said dryly. Occasionally is enough, Liam replied, smiling. The words were simple, but they landed with surprising weight. Beverly felt something shift, a small, quiet click, like a lock turning. Halfway through their second round of coffee, a commotion erupted near the counter. A man was arguing with the barista about oat milk versus almond milk, gesturing wildly with a foam-covered spoon. Liam leaned closer, voice low. $10 says he's about to start a TED Talk. Beverly stifled a laugh. On the ethics of milk alternatives? Exactly, Liam said. Chapter 1. The Tyranny of Dairy. Beverly shook her head, amused. She couldn't remember the last time a conversation felt this light. No agendas, no hidden motives, just words, laughter, and the occasional oat milk conspiracy theory. When they finally stood to leave, Liam hesitated by the door. This was fun, he said. We should do it again. Maybe something less caffeinated, like a walk or a cooking class. I promise not to burn anything, intentionally. Beverly considered him for a moment. Her instinct was to retreat to the safety of schedules and spreadsheets. But then she thought of Priya's words, of the bear in the corner, of how laughter had felt like oxygen today. Maybe, she said, her voice calm but softer than usual. Liam grinned. Still my favorite word. As Beverly walked home, The city felt different, brighter, looser, as if the streets themselves had shrugged off their rigidity. She wasn't sure where this was going. But for once, she didn't need a blueprint. Chapter 6, The Curveball. Monday began like any other. Beverly at her desk, coffee steaming beside her, calendar neatly color-coded. She had a rhythm, a system, a fortress of order. But fortresses have cracks, and today one widened. It started with an email. Beverly clicked it open, expecting a routine confirmation from a supplier she'd been courting for months. Instead, the subject line screamed in bold, "Order delay, indefinite." Her stomach tightened. She skimmed the message. Unforeseen logistical issues, raw material shortages, apologies wrapped in corporate jargon. The supplier, the cornerstone of her business plan, was pulling out. Just like that, half her projections collapsed like a house of cards. Beverly inhaled slowly, steadying herself. Panic was pointless. Action mattered. She opened her spreadsheet, recalculated margins, drafted a list of alternative vendors. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, precise and relentless. She could fix this. She had to. Still, a flicker of doubt crept in, the kind she hated. What if this was a sign? What if her dream was too fragile for reality? Her phone buzzed, breaking the spiral. A message from Liam. Liam. Survived the weekend without spilling anything. Feeling accomplished. How about you? Beverly stared at the screen, torn between honesty and deflection. She typed, Beverly, busy day, supplier issues. Seconds later, her phone rang. Liam's name lit up. Beverly hesitated, then answered. Hey, she said, voice calm but clipped. You sound like someone who just found out oat milk is extinct, Liam said lightly. What's going on? Beverly exhaled. One of my suppliers backed out. It's complicated. Suppliers. Liam's tone shifted, curious but not intrusive. Is this about that business plan you mentioned? Beverly froze. She hadn't planned to elaborate, but something in Liam's voice, steady, unassuming, made her relent. Yes, she admitted. I'm trying to launch a design firm, and now half my sourcing strategy is gone. There was a pause. Then Liam said, That's tough, but not impossible. I know, Beverly said. I'll figure it out. I might know someone, Liam offered. Local craftsman, reliable, hates bureaucracy. Could be a good fit. Beverly blinked. You know someone? Perks of running a studio, Liam said. Want me to connect you? Beverly hesitated. She wasn't used to accepting help. Independence was her armor. But armor could be heavy, and right now she was tired of carrying it alone. Maybe, she said softly. Still my favorite word, Liam replied, warmth threading his voice. I'll text you the details. After the call, Beverly sat back, staring at the bear in the corner. The sequined bow tie glinted like a wink. She shook her head, half amused, half unsettled. She hadn't asked for Liam's help, yet here it was, offered without strings, without ego. Rare. Very rare. She reopened her spreadsheet, adjusting columns with renewed focus. The setback was real, but so was the solution. And maybe, just maybe, so was something else. That night, Beverly drafted an email to the new contact Liam had suggested. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, then typed with quiet resolve. She wasn't surrendering control. She was expanding the blueprint. For the first time, unpredictability didn't feel like chaos. It felt like possibility. Chapter 7, The Turning Point. Saturday morning began with a plan. Beverly liked plans. They were neat, predictable, like well-folded laundry. She had mapped out her day, finalized supplier negotiations, review branding drafts, and maybe, just maybe, reply to Liam's text about doing something fun. She hadn't committed. Maybe was her safety net. At 10:03 a.m., her phone buzzed. Liam, morning. Quick question. How do you feel about road trips? Beverly stared at the screen. Road trips were the opposite of plans. They were chaos with wheels. She typed, Beverly, define road trip. Liam, short, spontaneous, zero spreadsheets involved. She hesitated, fingers hovering. Before she could reply, another message popped up. Liam, there's a craftsman 2 towns over who makes custom frames. Thought you might want to check them out for your business. I'm heading there now. Join me? Beverly blinked. This wasn't just whimsy, it was practical, helpful, and terrifying. She typed slowly, Beverly, I'll think about it. Liam, thinking is overrated. I'll pick you up in 30. Beverly stared at the screen, incredulous. 30 minutes? She had meetings, well, self-imposed meetings, but still. She glanced at the bear in the corner, its sequined bow tie shimmering like a dare. Fine, she muttered, grabbing her tote. Just this once. Liam's car was a vintage hatchback that looked like it had stories. He grinned as Beverly slid into the passenger seat, her expression equal parts curiosity and caution. Welcome to the adventure, he said. Seatbelt first, existential questions later. Beverly buckled up. This is impulsive. Impulsive is just efficiency without overthinking, Liam said, pulling onto the highway. She gave him a look. That's not a real definition. It is now. Liam replied, eyes twinkling. The drive was a patchwork of landscapes. Rice fields, roadside stalls, bursts of bougainvillea. Beverly tried to relax, but her mind kept cataloging risks. Traffic delays, supplier cancellations, the possibility of Liam being a secret axe murderer. Unlikely, but still. Then the GPS failed. The screen froze, then blinked out entirely. Liam tapped it like a stubborn vending machine. Well, he said cheerfully, looks like we're navigating old school. Beverly stared. You mean maps? Or intuition, Liam said. Mostly intuition. Beverly groaned. Intuition is how people end up in horror movies. Relax, Liam said, grinning. Worst case, we find a roadside tea stall and start a podcast about getting lost. Despite herself, Beverly laughed. A quick, startled sound that felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. They stopped at a tiny dhaba for directions, where a man in a lungi insisted on explaining the route using landmarks like the big mango tree and where the goat usually sits. Liam thanked him solemnly, as if these were GPS coordinates. Back in the car, Beverly shook her head. This is absurd. Absurd is underrated, Liam said. It's where the best stories live. She glanced at him, and for a moment, the tension in her chest loosened. Maybe absurd wasn't the enemy. Maybe it was freedom. When they finally reached the craftsman's workshop, a sunlit space filled with wood shavings and the scent of varnish, Beverly felt a surge of excitement. The frames were exquisite, each piece a blend of artistry and precision. She spoke with the craftsman, negotiated terms, and left with a deal that salvaged her sourcing strategy. As they drove back, Beverly stared out the window, the countryside blurring into gold and green. She had stepped outside her blueprint today, and nothing had collapsed. In fact, something had expanded. Liam glanced at her, his voice easy. So, was it worth the chaos? Beverly smiled. A slow, genuine curve. Maybe. Liam grinned. Still my favorite word. That night, Beverly sat at her kitchen counter, updating her spreadsheet. The numbers aligned, the plan held, but her thoughts wandered to a dusty road, a mango tree, and a man who made chaos feel almost beautiful. For the first time, Beverly wondered if unpredictability wasn't a crack in the fortress, but a door. Chapter 8, The Confession. The week after the road trip felt different, lighter, as if Beverly's life had loosened its collar. Her spreadsheets were still immaculate, her calendar still color-coded, but something had shifted. She caught herself smiling at odd moments, like when she passed a mango tree on her commute, or saw a chair in a shop window and thought of Liam's war of principles. On Friday evening, Liam texted, Liam, cooking class tomorrow. I promise not to burn anything. Probably. Beverly stared at the message, amused and wary. Cooking classes were unpredictable, flour explosions, rogue spatulas, strangers wielding knives. But then she remembered the craftsman's workshop, the deal she'd secured, the laughter that had felt like oxygen. She typed, Beverly, fine. But if you set something on fire, I'm leaving. Liam, fair. I'll keep the flames metaphorical. The cooking studio was bright and bustling, filled with the scent of garlic and the chatter of amateur chefs. Beverly tied her apron with surgical precision, while Liam wrestled with his like it was a rebellious scarf. Do you always look this competent? He asked, eyeing her neat bow. Do you always look this improvisational? Beverly countered. Improvisation is an art, Liam said, grinning. You should try it sometime. She rolled her eyes, but her lips curved despite herself. The instructor announced they'd be making pasta from scratch. Beverly approached the task like a mission, measured flour, cracked eggs, formed a perfect dough. Liam, meanwhile, treated his station like a playground. Is the dough supposed to look like abstract art? Beverly asked, peering at his lumpy creation. Art is subjective, Liam said solemnly. This is postmodern pasta. Beverly laughed. A quick, startled sound that drew a glance from the instructor. She didn't care. Felt good. Halfway through, as they rolled out sheets of dough, Liam glanced at her. So, he said casually, how's the business plan? Beverly froze, her rolling pin hovering midair. You remember that? Of course, Liam said. You mentioned it like it was a secret. Secrets are interesting. Beverly hesitated. She'd guarded her dream for years, afraid of noise, judgment, failure. But Liam's tone held none of those, just curiosity, easy and unassuming. It's real, she said finally. Not just an idea. I've been working on it for years. Suppliers, branding, everything. Liam's eyes lit up. That's incredible. Why keep it under wraps? Because it's mine, Beverly said quietly. And I didn't want it diluted by opinions or pity if it failed. Liam nodded, his expression softening. Makes sense. But for what it's worth, I think it's brilliant. You're brilliant. The words landed like a warm breeze. Unexpected. Unforced. Beverly felt something loosen inside her. A knot she hadn't realized she'd been carrying. Thank you, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. Anytime, Liam said, smiling. And hey, when you launch, I expect VIP pasta privileges. Beverly laughed, the tension dissolving like sugar in tea. For the first time, sharing her dream didn't feel like exposure. It felt like trust. By the end of the class, Liam's pasta looked like modern art gone wrong, but Beverly declared it edible with optimism. They walked out into the cool night, laughter trailing behind them like breadcrumbs. As Beverly unlocked her car, Liam said, "You know, you're full of surprises." "So are you," Beverly replied. He grinned. "Guess we're even." Driving home, Beverly felt a quiet certainty. Her blueprint was still intact, but now, it had room for color. Chapter 9, The Complication. The following week was a whirlwind for Beverly. Her deal with the craftsman was finalized. Her branding mock-ups were sharper than ever, and her launch timeline felt tangible, like a horizon she could almost touch. For once, everything seemed aligned. Until Thursday evening. Beverly was at a cafe, laptop open, reviewing supplier invoices when Priya slid into the seat across from her, eyes gleaming with gossip. "You will not believe what I just saw," Priya said, breathless. Beverly barely looked up. "If it involves a goat and a mango tree, I've heard it." Priya waved a hand. "No, Bev. Liam. At the art gallery downtown. With someone." Beverly's fingers stilled on the keyboard. "Someone? A woman," Priya said, lowering her voice like a spy. "Tall, gorgeous," laughing at everything he said. They looked close. Beverly felt a flicker, sharp, unwelcome. She wasn't possessive. She wasn't even sure what this was between her and Liam, but the image lodged in her mind like a thorn. "Maybe it was business," Beverly said evenly. Priya shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe you've got competition." Beverly forced a smile, but her thoughts tangled. She hated ambiguity. It was messy, like Liam's apron at the cooking class. And now it was in her head, disrupting her neat mental shelves. That night, Liam texted, "Liam, survived another chair battle. Victory tastes like splinters." Beverly stared at the message, her fingers hovering. She typed, "Beverly, congrats." Just that. No humor, no warmth. She hit send and closed her phone, ignoring the pang in her chest. The next day, Beverly attended a networking mixer for local entrepreneurs, a room full of polished smiles and business cards. She was mid-conversation about branding strategies when she heard a familiar voice behind her. "Beverly." She turned. Liam stood there, looking pleasantly surprised. And beside him, the woman Priya had described. Tall, elegant, laughing softly at something Liam had said. "Hi," Beverly said, her tone cool but polite. "Hey," Liam said, oblivious to the storm brewing in her head. "This is Anika. She's a gallery curator. We're collaborating on a furniture art exhibit." Anika extended a hand. "Nice to meet you. Liam's told me about your design firm. Sounds amazing." Beverly shook her hand, her smile practiced. "Thanks." Liam's phone buzzed, and he excused himself to take the call, leaving Beverly and Anika in awkward silence. "So," Anika said warmly, "are you two?" Beverly's pulse jumped. "No," she said quickly. "Just friends." Anika nodded, unbothered. "He's great to work with. A little chaotic, but brilliant." Beverly managed a tight smile. "So I've heard." On the drive home, Beverly's thoughts churned. She hated this uncertainty, this intrusion of feelings she hadn't planned for. She wanted clarity, but clarity felt like a distant shore. When Liam texted later, "Liam, you seemed quiet tonight. Everything okay?" Beverly stared at the screen, her fingers trembling slightly. She typed, erased, typed again. Finally, "Beverly, just tired." It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the truth either. That night, Beverly sat at her kitchen counter, staring at her laptop without seeing it. The bear in the corner looked smug, as if predicting drama. Beverly exhaled, pressing her palms to the cool surface. She had built her life on order, on certainty. And now, one man and one misunderstanding was unraveling her blueprint. For the first time, Beverly wondered if she was ready for the mess that came with possibility. Chapter 10, The Resolution. Saturday morning was quiet, but Beverly's mind wasn't. She sat at her kitchen counter, staring at her phone like it was a puzzle she couldn't solve. Liam's last text, "You seemed quiet tonight. Everything okay?" still lingered unanswered. She hated ambiguity, and yet here she was, drowning in it. Priya had called twice, offering unsolicited advice that ranged from, "Just ask him," to, "Or ghost him and adopt a cat." Beverly ignored both suggestions. She didn't want drama. She wanted clarity, and clarity required conversation. So she typed, "Beverly, can we talk?" The reply came almost instantly, "Liam, absolutely. Coffee?" Neutral territory. The cafe was the same one where they'd first shared laughter over oat milk conspiracies. Beverly arrived early because late was chaos and chose a corner table. When Liam walked in, his smile was warm but cautious, like someone approaching a skittish cat. "Hey," he said, sliding into the chair opposite hers. "You okay?" Beverly inhaled slowly. "I need to ask you something." "Shoot," Liam said, leaning back, easy as ever. "I saw you at the gallery," Beverly said, her voice calm but firm. "With Anika." Liam blinked, then laughed. A quick, startled sound. Oh, that. Yes, that, Beverly said, arching a brow. She's a curator, Liam explained. We're collaborating on an exhibit. Furniture meets art. No secret romance, no dramatic backstory. Beverly studied him, searching for any flicker of evasion. There was none. Just honesty, open and unguarded. You could have mentioned it, she said quietly. I should have, Liam admitted. Didn't think it mattered. Guess I was wrong. Beverly exhaled, tension loosening like a knot undone. I don't like uncertainty, she said. It feels messy. Messy isn't always bad, Liam said gently. Sometimes it's where the good stuff hides. She smiled faintly. You really believe that? Absolutely, Liam said. Look at us. If life were neat, we'd never have met. No coffee spills, no mango trees, no postmodern pasta. Beverly laughed. A soft, genuine sound that felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. Fair point. Liam leaned forward, his tone warm but steady. I like you, Beverly. Not because you're organized or brilliant, though you are, but because you're you. And I'm not here to mess that up. The words landed like a quiet promise. Beverly felt something shift, a click, like a lock turning. For years, she'd built walls of order, afraid of chaos. But maybe chaos wasn't the enemy. Maybe it was possibility. I like you too, she said simply. Liam grinned, relief flickering across his face. Good, because I was about to bribe you with pasta. Beverly laughed again, shaking her head. You're ridiculous. Ridiculous is my brand, Liam said, smiling. And you're my favorite exception to every rule. As they walked out into the crisp evening air, Beverly felt lighter, freer, as if the blueprint she'd clung to for years had grown wings. Her dream was still intact, her plans still solid. But now they had room for color, for laughter, for something beautifully unpredictable. For the first time, Beverly didn't just accept uncertainty. She welcomed it. Chapter 11, The Leap. The morning of the launch felt surreal. Beverly stood in the center of her new studio, a bright, airy space with clean lines and sunlight spilling across polished floors. The walls bore her branding in elegant strokes. Jackson and Company, design solutions for modern living. It wasn't just a name anymore. It was real, tangible, hers. She adjusted a vase on the reception desk, then stepped back, scanning every detail. The furniture gleamed, the color palette whispered sophistication, and the scent of fresh paint mingled with jasmine from the bouquet Priya had insisted on bringing. Speaking of Priya, she burst through the door like a confetti cannon, arms laden with snacks and enthusiasm. Bev, this place is gorgeous. I'm so proud of you. Beverly smiled, warmth blooming in her chest. Thanks. Just don't spill anything. Priya grinned. No promises. Guests trickled in, clients, friends, curious locals. Beverly moved through the room with calm precision, greeting everyone, answering questions, explaining her vision. She felt steady, grounded, until the door swung open and Liam walked in. He wore a crisp white shirt and carried a box tied with a ribbon. His smile was easy, his presence like sunlight breaking through clouds. Congratulations, he said, handing her the box. For the record, I didn't spill anything on the way here. Beverly laughed softly. Small victories. She untied the ribbon and lifted the lid. Inside was a handcrafted wooden frame, sleek, elegant, with her company's name etched in delicate script. It's for your first design, Liam said. Thought you might want something to mark the beginning. Beverly stared at the frame, her throat tightening. It wasn't grand or flashy. It was thoughtful, personal, perfect. Thank you, she said quietly. Don't thank me, Liam said, his tone warm but steady. You did this, all of it. I'm just here to cheer from the sidelines. The words landed like a gentle anchor, solid, reassuring. Beverly felt something shift inside her, a quiet certainty that this wasn't about rescue or dependence. It was about choice, about letting someone in without losing herself. As the afternoon unfolded, laughter and chatter filled the studio. Priya orchestrated impromptu photo sessions, clients marveled at Beverly's designs, and Liam, true to his word, hovered in the background, helping only when asked. At one point, he rescued a tray of samosas from a near-catastrophic fall, earning a round of applause and a dramatic bow. See, he said, grinning at Beverly. Chaos management, my hidden talent. Beverly shook her head, smiling. You're ridiculous. Ridiculous is my brand, Liam replied. And you're my favorite collaboration. When the last guest left and the studio fell quiet, Beverly stood by the window, watching the city lights flicker like distant stars. Her dream was no longer a secret folder on her laptop. It was a living, breathing reality. And beside her, Liam leaned casually against the wall, his presence steady and unassuming. So, he said, how does it feel? Beverly smiled, her voice soft but certain. Like the beginning of something good. Liam grinned. Good, because I brought champagne. And before you ask, yes, it's in a spill-proof bottle. Beverly laughed, shaking her head. For the first time in years, her life wasn't just a blueprint. It was a story, unwritten, unpredictable, and beautifully hers. Chapter 12, The Celebration. The studio was quiet now, the hum of voices replaced by the soft clink of glass. Beverly stood near the reception desk, her heels kicked off, her hair slightly undone from hours of smiling and shaking hands. The launch had been a success, better than she'd dared to imagine. Orders placed, partnerships discussed, compliments flowing like champagne. Speaking of champagne, Liam appeared from the back room, holding a bottle aloft like a trophy. Spill-proof, he announced, grinning. Engineered for people like me. Beverly laughed, sinking into a chair. Is that a real feature or just marketing? Both, Liam said, popping the cork with a flourish that startled the teddy bear in the corner. Foam fizzed, but miraculously stayed contained. Liam poured 2 glasses and handed one to Beverly. To Jackson and Company, he said, raising his glass. And to the woman who makes order look like art. Beverly smiled, warmth blooming in her chest. And to the man who makes chaos tolerable. High praise, Liam said, clinking his glass against hers. I'll take it. They sipped in companionable silence for a moment, the city lights flickering through the windows like distant stars. Then Liam glanced at the bear, its sequined bow tie shimmering under the soft glow. You kept it, he said, amused. It's a mascot now, Beverly replied. Symbol of unpredictability. Perfect, Liam said. Because I have a confession. Beverly arched a brow. Should I be worried? Depends, Liam said, his grin widening. I signed us up for a salsa class next weekend. Beverly nearly choked on her champagne. Salsa? As in dancing. As in moving your feet and ignoring your spreadsheets, Liam said. It'll be fun. Fun is subjective, Beverly muttered, but her lips curved despite herself. Come on, Liam said, leaning closer, his voice warm and teasing. You survived a road trip, a cooking class, and a launch party. Salsa is just the next chapter. Beverly shook her head, laughing softly. You're relentless. Persistent, Liam corrected. It's my brand. She studied him for a moment. The easy smile, the unguarded eyes, and felt something settle inside her. For years, she'd built her life on certainty, on blueprints and boundaries. And now, here she was, barefoot in her studio, sipping champagne with a man who made unpredictability feel like possibility. Fine, she said, her voice calm but tinged with amusement. 1 class, no sequins. Deal, Liam said, grinning. But the bear might insist. Beverly laughed, the sound ringing through the quiet studio like music. For the first time, she didn't just accept the messiness of life, she celebrated it. Chapter 13, The Epilogue. 2 weeks later, Beverly stood in front of a mirror. Not in her studio, but in a dance hall that pulsed with Latin rhythms. The air smelled faintly of citrus and anticipation. Around her, couples practiced steps with varying degrees of grace. Beverly adjusted the strap of her sandal and muttered under her breath, "This is ridiculous." Beside her, Liam grinned like a man who had just won a bet. "Ridiculous is my brand," he said cheerfully. "And you agreed. No backing out now." "I agreed to 1 class," Beverly said, arching a brow. "Not public humiliation." "Humiliation builds character," Liam replied, offering his hand with exaggerated gallantry. "Shall we?" Beverly sighed, slipping her hand into his. The instructor clapped, calling for everyone to start with the basic step. Beverly focused, determined to master the rhythm, until Liam whispered, "You're counting like you're doing math homework." "I like precision," Beverly hissed, trying not to laugh. "Precision is overrated," Liam said, spinning her gently. The move was unexpected, and Beverly stumbled, straight into him. For a moment, they froze, laughter bubbling between them like champagne. Beverly felt her cheeks flush, but not from embarrassment. From something warmer, deeper. A joy she hadn't planned for, hadn't scheduled, but welcomed all the same. Half an hour later, Beverly was laughing so hard her sides ached. Liam had managed to tangle himself in his own feet, narrowly avoiding a collision with the instructor. The class ended with applause, mostly for Liam's survival, and Beverly found herself grinning like a teenager. As they walked out into the cool night, Liam said, "See? Chaos isn't fatal." "Debatable," Beverly replied, but her tone was light, teasing. They strolled in comfortable silence for a moment, the city humming softly around them. Beverly thought of her studio, her clients, her plans, all intact, all thriving. And yet, the best part of her life now wasn't in any spreadsheet. It was here, in the laughter, the unpredictability, the warmth of a hand she hadn't expected to hold. Back at her apartment, Beverly kicked off her shoes and glanced at the teddy bear in the corner. Its sequined bow tie shimmered under the lamplight, smug as ever. She picked it up, setting it on the shelf above her desk. A mascot, a reminder that life didn't have to be flawless to be beautiful. Her phone buzzed. A message from Liam. "Liam, next week, salsa rematch. Sequins optional." Beverly laughed, typing back, "Beverly, fine." But if you trip again, I'm filing a safety report. Liam, deal. You're my favorite hazard. Beverly set the phone down, her smile lingering. For years, she'd lived by blueprints, by rules and routines. And now, she had something better. A life that was hers, steady yet vibrant, orderly yet open to surprise. Because sometimes, the best chapters are the ones you never plan.